If you talk about things on the internet for long enough, eventually you will make a mistake. When discussing something, you'll miss out an important piece of information because maybe you didn't find it. Maybe you didn't think it was important, but it was. You know, a slip up in coverage. And that is very different to what is known as a lie by omission, which is when you say only things that are true or technically true, but deliberately don't say things you know would give a more accurate picture, making the totality of what you've said a lie, despite each piece of that lie being true. Alyssa Mercante apparently likes to do this a lot. Yesterday, I watched a video of hers called Hating Me Gets Them Views, Here's My Story, and I'm going to quickly show you 3 examples. The first of which is a repeat. A rerun. You see, she points to an article she wrote last year.
In March of 2024, I wrote a story that would forever change my life. I didn't expect it to. It was just a report dispelling a conspiracy theory that had gained traction in the dank caves of the internet.
If you actually go and read that report yourself, you will see that it is also coverage of a very specific event. She points out in her March 2024 article that late the prior month, one of Sweet Baby Inc.'s consultants discovered a Steam group dedicated to detecting games that Sweet Baby Inc. has worked on. That's true, that did happen, but more than that happened. The consultant in question was calling not only for people to report the group, but for people to target the creator of the group. Quote, since he loves his account so much. A spiteful attack intended to dispossess someone who had done nothing wrong of their Steam games library. This, specifically, is what ignited what's known as Gamergate 2. And there is zero chance that Alyssa was not aware of that. She deliberately dances around it though, claiming the conversation around Sweet Baby Inc. has ignited a fundamentally misinformed Gamergate-esque firestorm. Saying the things she has in this article without ever outlining Chris Kindred's specific behavior is absolutely a lie by omission. In her video, she proceeds to summarize that report and once again omits the single most important piece of information to include when talking about that whole shitstorm.
The report stated that a consultant working at the time with Sweet Baby Inc. discovered a 100-person strong curation page on the video game marketplace site Steam.
100 persons strong? Was it really that small at that point? Maybe she misspoke, but lowest I remember seeing it was a couple thousand. But damn, that really is some explosive growth. We can see from archives that between March 1st and March 2nd, it got 16,000 new followers. A few days later, it broke 100k. Alyssa would have you believe that just kinda happened. There's no specific inciting incident. And the Sweet Baby consultant simply found it. They didn't do anything, they just found it. Is she proud of this coverage?
It's something that I remain proud of more than 365 days after it published, but it forever changed my life.
Yes, she is proud of it. And, lady, that's a year. Gamers didn't break your fucking spine. They said some nasty shit about you. Stop being stupid right now, and you will recover. Anyway, given that her video opened with a statement of pride that she deceived people now and last year, I was on high alert for things that could be missing. And it's at this point that I must make a disclosure. The next 2 lies by omission relate to a guy who goes by Smash JT. You should know that he liked my Sunground coverage and he super chatted me like $20 or something. I just think you should know that so you can judge if you think I'm doing this because of that or something. So, later in her video, there's this little snappy section where she tries to make a point. She uses a series of clips to create the impression that Smash JT and others are guilty of inciting doxing attempts by Smash JT's standards. She plays this clip.
By giving the full name, you are subtly implying that you are encouraging your audience to proactively dox a person.
Alyssa.
She then plays a huge number of clips of people saying her name. I'm not going to play them all. And caps it off with a bunch of examples of Smash JT specifically saying her name. Damn, she got him. He said by saying someone's name, you're implying that people should go and dox them. He said those words, right? It's a video clip. And he said her name a bunch of times, so he's doing that. Well, unfortunately for Alyssa, it is very, very easy to find the context. And he was not saying what she snipped the clip to make it sound like he was. In fact, in that very statement, he explains why he thinks it's okay to say her name. It's what he says directly before what she snipped out. So there's no way this was an accidental omission. I'll play it for you right now, and I'll click to remind you of where her cut was.
And then she uses my full name, by the way, and I'm gonna black it out here because I don't use my full name. That's kind of like a unwritten rule when it comes to social media. You address the person based off of what their username is. Everyone knows that who stays in bounds. And Alyssa Mercante's username and her editor, she's literally listed on her website as editor Alyssa Mercante. Her Twitter is Alyssa Mercante. Everything has her full name, so I address her as such. If it was something else, I would address her as Alyssa or whatever it was. But by giving the full name, you are subtly implying that you are encouraging your audience to proactively dox a person.
Absolutely shameless manipulation, given what she tried to imply by combining that snippet with a bunch of examples of him saying her name. By the way, as a quick aside, I don't really agree with Smash JT that it's incitement to dox. I'd characterize hitting someone who's pseudonymous with their real name more as an intimidation tactic. It's a direct, I know who you are, more than a get him kind of thing. But either way, it certainly is an aggressive move. That's not to say people haven't said and done nasty things to Alyssa, but it ain't quite as one-sided as she wants to make it look. And on the subject of what appears to be a genuinely nasty thing done to her, she tells us about this.
Imagine knowing your boss, your coworkers, your peers, your friends, and your family are also getting messages like this, simply because they're associated with you.
Somebody decided to buy was it Mercante is her sister's name? Mercante.com. Somebody got this domain and began emailing her sister from it. Just think that is fucking hilarious.
Unless I'm missing some details and it turns out her sister's a public figure in her own right and is intertwined with Alyssa somehow. Publicly, that is some real weirdo behavior. Could even be quite intimidating. But here's the problem. This is the next thing she plays in her video.
Apparently, her sister's website has been hacked or taken over, or domain has been purchased and now used to harass her. Can't help but look at the situation and laugh.
Now this one was really slick. I don't think a casual viewer would ever notice the snip. I think it gives the impression that his video contained exactly this.
To harass her. Can't help but look at the situation and laugh.
The cut she made happens in the same way you might do it in your own video. And that is how it happens. Just not then. And I think her omission significantly mischaracterizes him. Finger clicks at either end of the bit she cut out.
Now used to harass her. And while I do not condone doing this to anybody for any reason at any time whatsoever, I can't help but look at the situation and laugh.
It will be fine for you to make the point that his condemnation of it doesn't matter, but what I'm not cool with is making it look like he didn't do that. By removing that part, you make it look like he's just totally gleeful it happened, because that shit's just great. But he also says something immediately afterwards that wasn't included.
Well, if it's not the consequences of my actions coming back to haunt me once again.
Wait, what the hell does that mean? What did Alyssa do? Well, it sort of comes up in her video. In one of the clips, two guys are looking at one of her tweets. She mentions, DMing your wife after you've been harassing me for weeks is not remotely comparable to the sister website thing. Excuse me? I did a quick Google and apparently Alyssa Mercante engages in some of that weirdo behavior herself. May 7th, 2024, she asked Smash JT, so you think it's funny that you platformed a man threatening to kill me? Based on other tweets of hers, this is ostensibly about Smash JT retweeting this guy. I took a quick look at him.
Alyssa is a problem. She's brainwashing our kids. Guys, gamers for Trump, gamers against propaganda. I'm getting flat screeners into virtual reality. I'm showing parents, even non-gamers, my content is special. It's cinematic and with some hype. For the non-gamer, that virtual reality is a great way to control content and wokeness until we weed.
I'll leave it up to you, dear viewer, to decide how reasonable you think it is to be frightened of this fellow. In any case, in that thread we were looking at, Alyssa continued, anyway, I found your wife's Facebook and asked what she thinks about the father of her children harassing a woman online and laughing when she shares that someone they're supporting has been threatening to kill them for weeks. On his website, Smash JT shared what she wrote to his wife, and I would call it deranged and insulting. Saying, I certainly wouldn't want my partner doing what he's doing, is a direct judgment of her, not just of him. The implication of saying you wouldn't be with someone like that is clear. Smash JT, perhaps without even watching it, retweeted a clip of some schizo. You are the schizo in his wife's Facebook messages. You know what? I would laugh too if someone who behaved like this toward my girlfriend got a taste of their own medicine. I'm of the opinion that all this context completely changes the meaning of what he was saying. Never mind his condemnation that you cut out. And so that's lie by omission number 3. There's probably a lot more, maybe even in that video alone, but these were the most obvious to check. And now a final little bonus nugget for the people who have watched this far. As a courtesy, I censored Alyssa's sister's name, but I don't actually believe she cares. If people online were messing with someone in my real life, and I wanted to protect their info, and I'm a journalist covering stuff online who would absolutely know about doing this, I would have scrubbed my socials of details about them. First thing, immediate, obvious. However, to this very day, Alyssa Mercante has a tweet up telling everyone her sister's name and showing a picture of her. I would have scrubbed that shit in an instant. And it does only take an instant to find. When the website stuff originally happened as well, she didn't censor it. The black bars are added by me. She was blasting her sister's name out there far and wide. 5 days ago, she agreed with me. Obscuring these details is a really obvious basic step to take if you're concerned about harassment. Yeah, no brainer. Why wasn't she doing it before now though? This lady's just weird as hell.